Hey guys, welcome back to another video. We're taking the Z back to the shop. We made kind of an interesting discovery. Basically, I noticed the car is like really slow and I knew it couldn't be right. And everyone was telling me that most likely I'm just used to the Porsche being faster. So I thought the Z was just like, that's just the way it is. But I just knew it couldn't be right. I mean, I know I have check engine lights on and I disconnected the traction and stuff, but there's no way a car could be this slow. So we also noticed it when we were drifting. It was just impossible to keep this thing in the slide in second gear, and I knew I was like down on power. So what I think happened is, I think the kid I bought the car off of, he was like so focused on getting an LSD in the car that he just found probably a used 350Z or G35 LSD off OfferUp or something, and he probably swapped it in the car. But the problem with that is if you don't check if it came off of automatic or manual, you could end up with a final drive ratio of like 3.3, and the stock Z is like a 3.5 in the manuals. So if you put in that diff and you basically make the gears like long as hell, so it would essentially make the car accelerate super slow. We actually ended up getting a diff out of a 370Z, which is a 3.7 gear ratio. So we're gonna end up being able to actually accelerate, I think, a little bit faster than even if it was just a stock Z. So I think that'll help a lot for drifting, and just have the car feel normal. Because I actually really like driving the car, but it just like it's so slow, and I just knew something was up. Like it couldn't be right. Oh, it looks so much better with the trunk painted. Just felt so slow. Like I'm so bummed out that I actually spent money and had the diff welded, and you know, it was not what I thought it was. I didn't know the difference. This is my first Z that I've ever owned, so I didn't know how fast it's supposed to be. And like now that I'm older, there's not as many friends with 350Zs, so like I had no one to compare it to. So I had to join a bunch of Facebook groups, make some new friends, and like ask around. And yeah, so hopefully this takes care of the problem. Image Auto, they're gonna weld the new diff up, drop it in. This is Dom, my main mechanic. Takes care of all my cars. This is the owner of Street Image Auto. Does all the work. If anything breaks, we know who to go to.
I'm trying.
They do?
Yeah, the blocks underneath the seat.
I want the
It makes you feel more comfortable.
We're back here at Apple Valley Speedway. We got the Z back out here. I took care of some issues with the diff, with the mass airflow, so we'll go over that in another video. But now the car feels like there's more power in second gear, so hopefully it should be easier to drift, and hopefully we learn a lot more today and connect to more corners. So I just went out, I connected like 3 corners in a row. Such an awesome feeling to like get that done. It's like super rewarding. So now I'm gonna go out with Matt. It'll be his first time driving the car since we fixed everything. And yeah, the car runs like way better. It's like way easier to drive now that I have power in second gear. But I don't know, maybe I'm like more confident this time because it's not my first time. big difference. Super stoked. Overall successful day. We're here at Taco Bell. We actually had to drop the Z off at a shop because as we were leaving, the header and the test pipe, the bolts separated, so the exhaust was like banging on the ground, and it, like, I could feel it come up and hit the bottom of my foot, and it was like super bad because you're going like 80 miles, 90 miles an hour on the freeway. And luckily it happened on the way home and not at the track. So luckily we got home. I didn't have to tow the car. It was still drivable. It just sounded like I had like a huge exhaust leak. So we drove it straight to the shop, dropped it off, and then we Ubered, me and Piaj over here. What's up, Piaj? We Ubered straight to Taco Bell because we were so hungry and we were like talking about it all day. So we're like, well, let's just go here first, and then I'm gonna Uber home. So the car ran super good though. The power is back on, and actually I think with the gearing, the car feels a lot faster. It's a lot more powerful in second gear, so it's a lot. Actually, I think it's a lot easier to slide because you don't feel like you're like running out of power, and like the more you stand on it, you just have like power throughout the whole corner. When I got back, I took the car to the shop. They had to fix some of the exhaust hangers because the thing about buying a used car is you never know what you're getting. So there's something wrong with the exhaust hangers. It was like bent on one side, so the exhaust is basically like not being held on both sides of the exhaust hangers. Like the exhaust hanger is a rod, and there's a rubber part that goes around it, and it was basically on both sides. It was only catching on half the rod, so like every time we hit like a bump or it'd go side to side, the exhaust would just come off the car, and then it ended up causing an exhaust leak. So that was a problem we had with the car. And also I noticed like on the drive up, like I had a problem with the car not having power in second gear, and I bought some MAF cleaner. So I took off the intake, I cleaned the MAF, and then it seemed to restore a lot of the horsepower that it felt like the car was missing. And then when I got there, like we drove like an hour and a half to the track, and it seemed like it was starting to bog down again. So I pulled the intake off. Luckily I brought the MAF cleaner and I sprayed some on, and it seemed to restore the power again, so we had enough power to drift. So when I got back, I ordered this basically new mass airflow sensor. So it doesn't have the housing. You can get this on Amazon for the Z, and it was like $66 shipped or something. A lot of times if you were to go through like AutoZone or whatever, it might be like $180, $200 for a MAF, so it can get pretty pricey. And that's like, I think like a Duralast one. Hitachi is like OEM, so this is like what Nissan uses. It's only like $66, and there's just the sensor by itself, so you don't have to pay for like the housing. So we're gonna go put that on the car now because I got it back after getting the exhaust fixed, and it should be like pretty simple to install. I think it's just like 2 screws. So we're gonna go out to the car right now and put some more work in it, and then hopefully by day 3 that we take this thing out, there'll be like no issues. Definitely it was like way easier to drive this time though, and like because now you're not like struggling with not having enough power to keep the car sliding. It was more like, it was more easier to just focus on what you think you need to do, because you know, like you watch all these videos and you have like people giving you tips and stuff like, oh, you stay on the power to like keep the slide going and stuff, and like the car just wasn't doing that because you'd be sliding and then you'd be like, it'd be like running out of power, and then it would stop sliding. So like now we don't have to worry about that. So it was definitely like hindering the drift day, because like, yeah, you could still slide a car, but like it'd have to be like all inertia. You'd have to carry so much speed to get through a whole corner that it was like not easy for a beginner to learn on, and this is only our second time out. Kitty, can you get off my toolbox so I can go to work? Kitty, excuse me. He's always, anytime I get something new, the parts inspector. Alright, so if you guys could see here, the MAFS is always like, that's what reads the air going in through the intake. And if you can see right here, this is it right here. So usually it would come in this whole housing thing, and there'd be like security screws here that you can't remove, but some manufacturers don't care. So I think Nissan just uses regular screws here. So I think we just have to unplug it and take out these two Phillips and replace this sensor. So that's the part that can get dirty, and I cleaned it and it was okay, but this car has like 140,000 miles, so even though I cleaned it, it could just get dirty again, so it's never guaranteed. We're just going to replace it anyways, and then I'll probably save this one just as a backup, maybe in case something ever happened to the new one. So we can get my touch. So that's how you steer again. Slide that in. That's it. This one. All the way up. Put that in. Alright, so we got the new one in there. I guess the next thing we gotta do is we gotta at least probably just turn it on to make sure that it still runs and we didn't screw something up, but I don't think we could have screwed anything up, so we just want to make sure it runs right though. No check engine lights or anything, because sometimes units could be dead on delivery, and you know, if we waited till the next track day and something was wrong with this unit, even if it was new, we're gonna have a bad day or we'll be out of warranty, we can't replace it, so it's always best to check. Alright. Seems to be running smooth, no check engine lights, hopefully. Let's close this door. Alright, I think we're good. It's kind of weird not having a steering wheel here. This e-brake though, the temptation to always pull this thing. I think we're good. So far so good. I think we're okay on that. And then also I gotta do the battery tie down, because we were drifting, Matt was drifting, and we went off and we discovered the battery got disconnected, and it turns out the kid didn't have a tie down on it, and something we probably should have checked before, but what are the chances of a tie down being missing, like especially like an OEM battery and stuff. So I just bought a new one on eBay. I found one for like $18, so I'm just gonna put the stock one back on, and that should be good enough. And then that's pretty much it. The car is like super ready to go for our next drift day, and I think the third time out like was gonna be probably one of the best times, because I think like every time you take a car out to the track or something, you're kind of just getting things sorted, seeing what the car needs, and I think we're like dialing it in, so we're getting pretty close. Alright guys, so thanks for watching. Stay tuned and catch you on the next one.